Zen here, and today I'll be breaking down the top 3 best blue decks to use in Set 3's Raging Roar for Dragon Ball Super Fusion World. Starting with Zamasu Fused. Now before we get right into the blue decks, I do want to talk about what blue leaders do well, and they can control the board. Now with that in mind, our play style is going to be very control heavy, with a few of the leaders in today's video being able to pivot from not only control but also aggro. But now back to Zamasu Fused, let's talk about the leader. He's a 15k leader that draws when attacking and awakens at 3 life. And once you awaken, you become a big, monstrous 25k body. However, you don't draw anymore when attacking, so there is a caveat. It does have a really nice ability though to activate once per turn for 1 energy, and discarding 1 card from your hand, you can then, if your life is at 2 or less, add the top card of your deck to your life. So it does have some longevity here. Now, as we're about to talk about the deck list here, I do want to note that, again, blue leaders have a specific play style. For the most part, they're just like every other leader and they want to awaken. However, a few leaders like Zamasu Fused here don't want to awaken too early. So you might see and benefit from actually comboing early on, or even using cards like your Gallic Gun turn 1 or even turn 2 to make sure you don't take life damage and get the cool effect of drawing an extra card. As remember, with these leaders, slow and steady wins the race. But now let's go back to our turn 1 plays. You can charge any card and then play your Trunks here to get yourself a draw. And now moving on to turn 2, you have a couple options here where you can play your Videl and bring back any of these Earthling cards that you might have used to combo and protect your leader, or you can play your 2-drop Vegeta, which can self-awaken for you. However, again, you don't want to do that with this leader, so you might not opt for that ability. However, it does have the really neat critical effect to pressure your opponent really well. And then moving on to turn 3, where you have 3 energy, you'll notice that we have a Trunks here, but this is more for late game, and I'm honestly a huge fan of this Trunks because it synergizes with this Mai really well, but we'll get into that in a bit. For turn 3, I would always recommend dropping down a Vegeta if you can, and now it's going to be time for you to start counting your cards in your hand, especially if we want to activate this effect, because on your turn, whenever you have 7 or fewer cards, all of your opponent's cards are reduced by 1 cost, and on play you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 1 or less and just bottom deck them. Pretty powerful 3-cost card. But now this synergizes with our next card, Sickle City Gohan right here, where you can bottom deck 2 of your opponent's 3-cost cards if you have 7 or fewer in your hand. However, if the previous turn you played your Vegito, now all of their 4 drops, meaning your Jirins, your double androids, anything that could potentially threaten you, are now dropped to 3 costs. Which means Sickle City Gohan here can easily bottom deck them. But just in case you don't pull into this card, not to worry, we have 3 copies of Sinister Sickle here, which does that for you, even without the effect from Vegito. However, with the effect of Vegito, I guess you can bottom deck some double strikers. Then for turn 5, we have our amazing Vegito here, Secret Rare, which is a very tough card to get your hands on. However, if you do, man, is it good. You can bounce a cost 5 or less back to the owner's hand, and this card can attack twice if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand. Or we can play our double striker here, which bottom decks a 4-cost card or less, and on turn 6 you can just clear the entire board on both sides with Zeno. Now back to the other cards that I really wanted to talk about real quick is your Mai and your Trunks here. Trunks on play can self-awaken for you, but again, we don't want to do that with this leader, and it can bounce a cost 5 or less on the opponent's side. Now, if you synergize this with Mai, playing Mai first, you can bounce back a 6 cost. Heck, you can even bottom deck with Vegeta a double striker with Mai. Mai works so well with everybody. You can use Mai with your Sickle City Gohan, and now you can bottom deck a 4-drop. Like, Mai is so strong, and we have Videl to bring back Mai, and we have Pilaf here, which is an insane card because it just continuously cycles itself. This is going to be your late game finisher if you can get as many of these as possible. It's a pretty strong card to then just combo over and over again every single turn. And just in case that wasn't enough, we have a single Final Hope Slash and 2 Absolute Lightnings just to get rid of those pesky cards, specifically in green decks like Broly or anything else that could potentially threaten you and you can't remove. But yeah, this is a really solid Fused Zamasu deck list that I call Control Kai because that's what you're doing. You're a Supreme Kai that is controlling everything on the board. Now let's talk about the next deck list, and that's going to be Deadku, the brand new set 3 leader. Now this leader is really good. It's a 15k leader that draws when attacking and awakens at 4 life or less. And once it awakens, it has the really neat ability to draw 2 cards when attacking, then place one of your cards from your hand back to the top of your deck. And it has the activate battle effect on your opponent's turn to switch any card in your battle area to rest mode. And then if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, this card gets plus 10k. So it becomes a 30k body to defend on your opponent's turn. However, the interesting part about this is switch one card in your battle arena. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean battle card. So what do we do here? We can switch our field card here, which if we don't need to use it and it's like standing up, we can easily just get a free 10k to defend on your opponent's turn. But now this is a really cool card because you can play this on turn 1 just to get it on the board and then start using your other card effects to see which is the top card on your deck. It has the activate main for 2 energy. You place this card into drop, so you just blow it up. You look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you could play up to 1 battle card with the cost of 4 or less and Satan City in its special traits, and then place the rest of the cards in the bottom of your deck in a random order. Now, why is this good? Well, you can play things like your Sickle City Gohan, right? You can play things like your Great Saiyaman, a vanilla card that is a 30k body for free. And I guess you could play any of these other Satan City cards, but mainly those 2 are going to be the ones that you're going to want to use your Orange Star High School field card. But now let's check out your turn 1 plays. On turn 1, you can play things like Erasa, where you can search for your field card, or you can play your field card, or you can even play your Sharpener here that has the really nice effect to reveal the top card of your deck. And if the card is revealed as Saiyan City, then the next time you use an extra card, it's free from your hand. So you could essentially play this and your field card on turn 1 if the effect works your advantage. Now, why would you want to do this? Because you want to get as many Satan Cities on the board. I'll explain why in a bit. Because now on turn 2, you can play some more Satan Cities, right? Maybe another Sharpener, maybe an Erasa, and then use Sharpener's ability again. So that way you can use an extra card for free. Now, what extra card do you want to use? This one right here. You Prefer Girls with Short Hair is an extra card where if you have 3 or more cards with Satan City in their special traits in the battle area, including your field card, draw 3 cards and then place 1 card from your hand back to the top of your deck. Again, there's a lot of effects that are going to be sending cards and checking cards on the top of your deck. Then on turn 3, it's always a good idea to just get your Vegeta on the board. Again, this is very good at cost reducing on your opponent's side, so that way your Sickle City Gohan can put in work. But that's not the only cost reduction that we have. So let's just say that we did need to use our Sickle City Gohan, but they have a 5 cost or even a 4 cost. Well, we can play ourselves a Hercule here and just swing into literally anything. It doesn't matter if we do damage. All that matters is that we're attacking, because when we're attacking, we get to reveal the top card of our deck. And if the revealed card has Satan City in its special traits, which it should if you're cycling all the cards correctly, then you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and then reduce its cost by 2 for the turn, which means then you could take full advantage of things like your Sickle City Gohan here, or even your Vegeta, right? Because if there was a 3-drop on their side and you reduced it to 1 and then played your Vegeta, or even a 4-drop, well then technically with this effect, that is dropped to a 0 cost or even a 1 cost, and now you just bottom decked a 4 cost for essentially free. Then we have 3 copies of the Secret Rare Vegeta, because again, this is just such a strong card. We have 3 copies of our Double Striker. We have 3 copies of our Zeno here. We have 1 Absolute Lightning just in case to go into green. And then we have 3 copies of Videl, which I think I brushed over, but this Videl is super powerful because it can literally bring back everything on your top row. But yeah, this is a pretty strong, beginner-friendly, believe it or not, Deadku deck list. Definitely a strong deck to take on in the ladder. Now it's time to check out the possibly best blue leader in the entire game right now, and it's actually a little bit different deck list and then you might be familiar with. Now, this is something that I cooked up because I think I'm going into so many other opposing Vegetas, and now they want to do a lot of things. They want to bounce your cards, they want to bottom deck your cards. So we're going to have things that give us a little bit more value and allow us to keep cards on the board for a little bit longer. And mainly what I'm talking about is our 2-cost Zamasu here. This is the same card. I just have 2 of the, what is it, a full art, alternate art cards. But essentially what this does is it has a permanent effect that this card can't be removed from the battle area by your opponent's skills. So what you want to do is you play these cards, especially into mirror matches. Don't attack with them, just get them on the board. Build your board, make sure that they can't bounce them, they can't bottom deck them, they can't do anything to them, right? Get as many of these as possible and then start swinging when the time is right. But now let's check out our cards and see what the turn 1 optimal play would be. Something like Trunks to draw. Turn 2 would be your Zamasu. Turn 3 was obviously Vegito. And now we have a good base on our board. Now on turn 4, we can play 2 more Zamasus, maybe a Zamasu and 2 Bulmas, maybe even a future Mai here into a Trunks to bounce something. But yeah, the strategies from then on are pretty much the same with every other leader. We do have 4 other Sinister Sickles in this deck, but something that does differ in this deck list is our leader's ability, which I completely passed over because I assume you guys know it's a starter deck leader, but it's a 15k body that draws when attacking and awakens at 4 life or less. And if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, it becomes a 35k swing, the exact same number as our double striker who does twice the damage. Now, if you have both of these, like you have an awakened leader with 7 cards or less in your hand and a double striker, and then you play something like your Bulma with 7 cards or fewer, well, check this out. Now your leader and your double striker, so long as you choose to combo, can now swing for 45 apiece, or one of them could do 55. Now, the thing about this is if you get your opponent to 2 life, or even down to 1 life, and you have things like Pilaf and Bulmas that you can continually cycle, on your final turn for 1 energy, and you have like 6 or 7 energy, you play all of these, it's going to be very difficult for your opponent to survive that attack because you're going to be swinging for like 130k damage and probably still have some energy left over to play something like a Videl to swing again. It's actually pretty insane. There's so much flexibility, and yeah, these are the few changes that I added to this deck list here that you probably won't see in other deck lists. You'll see more of the critical Vegeta, but easy bottom deck, easy removal. I want something that can stay on the board and force my opponent to use cards from their hand that they would otherwise want to hold off for later to get rid of this Zamasu. And then we have this Trunks here because that synergizes really well with the Mai, where we can just bounce back a Vegito, bounce back a double striker, or even bounce back Goku Black if they're running that. But yeah, this is going to be my personal favorite variation of the King Vegeta deck lists. But what do you guys think of the top 3 blue decks that I have for you in today's video? Let me know if you like them. Let me know if you're going to try them out. Consider subscribing for more quality Fusion World content, and I will see you guys in the next video.